guys, Josh Neal here, and today we're taking a look at the always awesome 3 Inches of Blood and their song Metal Woman. We're going to be in standard tuning for this one. Before we get started, don't forget you can grab a full note and tab transcription downstairs. Alright, let's zoom in and get to it. So let's start with riff number 1. And we're only going to need 3 notes for this riff, and this is over the intro section. We're going to need the 2nd fret on the E string, which is F sharp. And from there we're going to be going to the 5th fret on the A string for D, and we're going to be finishing it off on the 7th fret of the A string for E. We're holding the 2nd fret on the E string for 2 whole measures for 8 counts. Then we're going to move up to the 5th fret on the A string. We're going to hold that for 6 counts, and then finally end up on the 7th fret of the A string. We're only going to hold that for 2 counts. So it'll look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. And then you'll go back. Or if you're counting measures, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the last time through it, we're going to end on the 2nd fret of the E string, the F sharp, and we're going to hold that out. And that gets us into riff number 2. This is the main bass riff of the song, and also comes back in the guitars at the end. And it looks like this. So we're starting again on the 2nd fret of the E string. And for this first riff, we're always going to be coming back to this F sharp, but we're going to be moving between the 3rd fret on the E string and the 5th fret on the E string. You could also play it as an open A string, they're the same note, but I prefer to play it on the 5th fret. We're going to start on the 2nd fret here, then we'll go to open, 2nd, 3rd, 2nd, open, 2nd. That's the first measure in number 2. And then from there we're going to go to the 5th fret, back to the 2nd fret, to the open string, back to the 2nd fret, and then another 2nd fret to open, back to the 2nd fret. So far we've got and now when we get into the next part of this riff, we're going to move the notes up a little bit. Instead of going 3rd fret to 5th fret on the E string, we're going to go from the 5th fret on the E string to the 2nd fret on the A string. And that second part of the riff is going to look like so we've got 5 on the E string, 2nd fret, open, 2nd, 2nd fret on the A string, back to the 5th fret on the E, 2nd, open, back up to the 5th fret, 2nd, open, 2nd, and then another 2nd, open, 2nd. So that second part is when we get into the third part, it's very similar to the first part in that we're going between the 3rd fret and the 5th fret on the E string, but we've gotten rid of that quarter note up front. We're going to start immediately on the 3rd fret for this one, and it'll be 3, 2, open, 2, 5, 2, open, 2, back to 3, 2, open, 2, and then 2, open, 2, that little ending that we're usually doing. So the third part when we get into the fourth part, very similar to the second part. We're starting on the 5th fret of the E string and we're moving to the 2nd fret of the A string, But when we get to the end, we're going to catch a 5th fret on the A string. We're going to catch a D here, and that part's going to look like. And we'll grab an open E string at the end there. So putting the whole thing together, we've got. And then we get into, that's going to repeat a couple times. The very last time, which I've called number 2A in the transcription, it's going to start the exact same way, but when you get to this D, and that's where the vocals come in, we're going to have a couple hits, couple offbeat hits, and we're going to have one measure of 2/4. So it's going to feel a little lopsided, but it's not too difficult to count. So we've gone through the main riff. D, no problem. From the beginning of that measure, starting on the 5th fret, the A note, it's going to be 1 and 2 and. So we're catching this guy, the 5th fret of the A string, on the and of 2, and that's going to ring through beat 3, and then we're going to have our next hit on beat 4. These are all going to be 5th fret Ds on the A string. We're going to have our next hit on beat 4. And we're going to be doing a lot of dotted quarters or quarters tied to eighths. Everything's going to be 3/8 notes in length, or 1.5 beats in length. So we caught that D on the and of 2. Our next one comes in on 4. Next one comes in on the and of 1 of the next measure. Next one's going to come in right on beat 3. And the final one is going to come in on the and of 4 in that measure. And this next bar is a 2/4 bar. You can hear when we get out of it because the drums have a real strong downbeat and they start a 2-bar fill. We're going to keep holding that D. Well, we're going to hit that last beat in the 2/4 bar on the D again, and then we'll come in right on the 4/4 bar. It goes back to 4/4 here. We're going to hold that for 7 beats, then we're going to grab the low E, and then we'll be moving on to the 2nd fret, getting into the verse riff. So that whole last section with all the offbeat hits looks like this. And I'm going to count along with it. 1 and 2 and 4 and 3 and 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. A little faster. Next one, number 3, the verse riff. We're going to be starting on 2nd fret. We're going to be coming back to this 2nd fret F sharp a lot because the song is in F sharp minor, and that riff looks like. So we're starting on that F sharp, and we've got 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 3 Inches of Blood does this a lot. They'll do that catch on the and of 4, anticipating the next bar. So far we've got 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, 4, and. Next bar, we're going to have, next 2 bars rather, we're going to have similar rhythms, but we're going to have some moving notes. We've just caught the and of 4 on this 2nd fret of the E. We'll have and, 2, and 3, and. Right on beat 4, we're going to grab that 5th fret on the E string again and come right back to the 2nd fret of the E string. Then we're back up to 2nd fret on the A string, to the 5th fret on the E, 2nd, open, and then we're going to catch the and of 4. So that bars 3 and 4 in riff number 3, we've got and, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and. Then the next 2 bars, bars 5 and 6, are going to be the same as 1 and 2, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and then for the next part of the riff, we've got 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and we're catching the 4th fret on the A to the 2nd fret on the A, 5th fret on the E, and then right to the open E, and then on the and of 4 we're going to grab this B here, and that's going to lead us into the next riff. So that whole last part of that riff again is and, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and that'll take us right into riff number 4. This is the, I guess you'd call it the pre-chorus riff, and it's a lot of syncopation, a lot of offbeat hits. We're going to catch the 2nd fret of the A on the and of 4 in the previous section. We've got 2nd fret to 4th fret, up to the 5th fret, up to the 7th fret, and then we're going to come back to the 2nd fret and start cranking away on those even 8th notes again. So in time we've got 3, 4, and 2, and 4, and 2, and 4, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and we're back to that 2nd fret on the A string. We're going to do the exact same hits again. 2nd fret, to the 4th fret, to the 5th fret, to the 7th fret. We're going to come back to the 2nd fret on the E. We're going to hold that, hit that on the and of 4, like we've been doing, and we're going to hold that through the measure. We're going to catch the and of 4 of the next measure on this open E string, and then we're going to catch the 2nd fret again on the and of 4. That's going to lead us into the next verse riff. So number 4 altogether is going to look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2, and 4, and 2, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 2, and 4, and 2, and 2, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4, and the little companion riff to this. After we go through another verse, we get back to this pre-chorus riff. It's going to start the exact same way, but at the end of that riff, instead of going back to the 2nd fret on the E and holding it out, going to the open E and back, since we're getting into the chorus riff here, we're going to land from the 7th fret on the A. We're going to come back to the 4th fret on the A. We're going to grab a C sharp there, also on the and of 4. And then in the next bar, we're going to catch an open E. It's going to be right on beat 1. It's going to last the entire bar. So that last line, that second line in riff number 4A is going to look like this. 2, 3, 4, and 2, and 4, and 4, and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 5 in the song, this is the Metal Woman part, the chorus. We're going to be cranking away even 8th notes on our 2nd fret of the E string, our F sharp. And we're going to have a few changes in notes, and these are going to line up nicely with the vocals. We got a full measure of the 2nd fret on the E string, and then we're going to start the next measure with an open E, only for an 8th note, for half a beat, immediately back to the 2nd fret. And this lines up with the woman part in the vocals. So that first half we've got here is metal woman. and then we keep those eighth notes going through the next bar, and on the fourth bar of the riff, we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and. We're going to catch the and of 3 on the open E string. So far we've got metal woman, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and. Second time through it, almost exactly the same, except instead of going down to the open E, we're going to go up to the 5th fret on the E string. We're going to grab that A. It's going to be the exact same rhythm though. And then the last couple bars, we've got 3 beats on the 2nd fret F sharp, and then we're going to hop up to the 5th fret A string D. We're going to hold that through a couple bars before we get back into another verse there. So riff 5 all together, it's going to look like this. Metal woman, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and metal woman, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that leads us into riff number 5A, which is just a little variation on the metal woman part. It's twice as long, and it's got some triplets in there, which can be a little bit difficult. We'll talk about those when we get there. So the first half is almost identical. We've got our metal woman, we're only going to hold that D for a measure and a beat. Only going to hold it for 5 beats rather than extending it for that guitar lead, because we're going to get right back to the F sharp. First half is the same. We're going from the F sharp, and for the woman part, we're going to go to an open E and come back. Metal woman. And this next part, the guitars start doing a triplet figure, and the drums go with them, and then it's only the drums that pick up the rhythm, switch it up to 16ths and some other permutations. But the guitars actually hold the triplets all the way through. So you have a couple options here. If you're playing with a pick, you're just going to alternate pick it. If you are playing with your fingers, we can go one of 2 ways. You can do it all with 2 fingers. You're going to need to relax because they get a little bit fast. You don't want to tense up on these faster rhythms, or you're going to crash and burn. Triplets, if you're not familiar with them, instead of splitting the beat into 2 even halves like our eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, we're splitting the beat into 3 even parts, and you can count those either 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a, or an easier way to do it if you're new to them is you can actually say the word triplet, and that'll break up evenly into 3 syllables. That'll help you keep track of them. Triplet, 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 triplet. So we've got our metal woman, and then right at the beginning of the next measure, it's going to be triplet, 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 3 and you can either do this by alternating your fingers, or if you're comfortable with it, you can actually go for a 3-finger technique where you're going to be starting each triplet on your 3rd finger, and you're going to just let your 3rd finger lead your other 2 fingers through it, so it would end up looking like this. So you have your options there. We can either go 2-finger or 3-finger if you're playing fingerstyle. If you're using a pick, you're just going to alternate, and you'll be fine through it. After the triplet section, the way we ended up is going to be the same as we did on the 2nd line. We'll be going up to the 5th fret on the E string, coming back to the 2nd fret. It's going to line up with the vocals again. Metal woman. Riff number 6 in the transcription, we've actually changed keys. We've gone down from F sharp minor, we're all the way down to E minor, so we're going to be cranking away a lot of open E's, and that riff, which goes along with the little guitar solo, looks like this. So we're starting on an open E. We're going to hold that for 5 beats. 2, 3, 4, 1. Then we've got this little moving line. Open E string to 2nd fret, 3rd fret, back to 2nd fret, back to open. And that's just 2 and 3 and 4. Then we're going to go up to the 3rd fret on the A string. We're going to grab the C here. We're going to hold that for 2 whole bars. Then we're up to the 5th fret, the D. Then we've got open, 2nd, 3rd fret, a little moving line there. And then we're just going to walk right down the scale. 2nd fret, open, 3rd fret on the E, 2nd fret on the E, back to open, get you back through the riff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we get into the little breakdown sounding thing. Number 7 in the transcription, and it's going to be a lot of these little hits on open E. I get that little fill in there that we'll get to. So number 7, we're going to catch beat 1 on the low E, and then we're going to wait through most of the bar. We'll have and 1 and at the end there, come in on the and of 4, and then 1 and 2 8th notes on the open E. Then we've got a little 16th note flourish here, and a 1 and. So we're splitting that 8th note on the and of beat 4. We're splitting it in half, which is going to give us 2 16th notes. Again, when you're playing these quick rhythms with your fingers, you want to stay relaxed. You don't want to tense up, or it's actually going to slow you down. And then we catch the 3rd fret on the A string, our C. We're going to catch that on the and of 4, and that's going to be our riff number 7, which is going to be most of what we're playing through this part. We've got a couple little fills here and there. The first one that we're dealing with is, I'm calling it number 7A. It's going to start the exact same way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 3, 4, and a 1 and 3, 4. So instead of catching the 3rd fret on the A string, the bass actually skips that so that he can set up for this little run. And if you're familiar with your minor scales, we're actually just coming right down an E minor scale. We're starting on the 7th of the scale. If you're not familiar with the scale, it's all right. Just follow along with the tablature and you'll be fine. We're going to catch the 7th fret on the G string. I'm using my pinky so that the scale will sit nicely. 7th fret on the G, we're going to come in on the and of 1, and it's going to be 7, 5, 4, 7 on the D, 5, 4, and we're going to end on the 7th fret of the A, and then we're back into the riff. So that whole measure looks like this: 3, 4, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. Then we're back into riff number 7 for a little while, and then to get us out of this section, we're going to have another descending 8th note fill. I'm calling this number 7B in the transcription. Starts out the same way: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, and. So we're back to grabbing that C on the A string. We're going to hold that for a full bar, and then we've got this little run down what kind of looks like an F sharp Phrygian mode. So we're starting on the 5th fret of the D string. We've got 5, 4, 2, down to the 5th fret on the A string, 3, 2, and then right to the 3rd fret and the 2nd fret on the low E string. So that's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Then we've got a little guitar break, and then we're into riff number 8, which is going to get us into the outro. After the guitar break, we're going to catch beat 1 on the 2nd fret of the E string. We're back to that F sharp. And then we'll have 1 hand on the next bar. Then we're going to do a little octave shape here in the next bar. 2nd fret on the E, up to the 4th fret on the D. And then we've got a little variation on our D catch at the end here. So we're going 2nd fret to the open E, to the 5th fret on the A string. Alright, we're in the home stretch here. We really only have one more riff to go and then a little variation on it. This is number 9, the other Metal Woman part. Now, in this riff, the guitars take over the bass riff from the intro. That one. The bass actually just hangs out on the 2nd fret of the E string with some periodic jumps to the 5th fret of the A string, the D, and then down to the open E. So we got 4 full bars, actually 4 full bars on the first line, and then another 3 on the second line for this riff. So we have 7 bars of even 8th notes on this F sharp, and then in the last one we're going to jump up to the 5th fret on the and of 2, and then we're going to catch the open E on the and of, not the and, right on beat 4. So number 9 altogether is going to look like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 4. And that's getting us into number 9A. This is the last time that we go through the riff because we need to wrap it up. We've got our 7 bars of even 8th notes on the 2nd fret E string F sharp, and then when we get to the jump up to the 5th fret of the A, we're going to have a repeat of the initial hits during the intro there. Except the bass actually isn't going to hit them this time. The drums are going to do all of the catches. The bass is just going to let it ring out. So starting from that particular section, the very last line in the transcription, we're going to have 1 and 2 and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. We're going to catch open E on beat 4 of that second to last bar, and then we'll have hits with the entire band on the 2nd fret F sharp, 1 and 2 to wrap up the song. So that whole riff number 9A is going to look like this at full speed: 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 7, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Alright guys, there it is. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, don't forget to grab the transcription downstairs, as well as leaving me any comments or questions you might have about the song. Until next time,